Hi, welcome to the September 1st super special monthly edition of our community call. I know you're all super excited because I am as well. So I'm really glad to see everyone here. Welcome, welcome. If you have not done so, please put your name on the attendees list in the meeting minutes, which I can plop in here again. And let us know how you're doing, because we want to know. I see someone has a new kitten. Is that Matt Snout? Yeah, where's the kitten?
We've got him in quarantine right now because he was swiping at our dog and cat that we have right now. So he's alone for a bit.
Kids don't behave sometimes, I know. Well, we fully expect to see an appearance maybe next time. That would be really great. All right, so let's move right on along to the agenda. We have a few items from last week we need to take care of. It looks like we have a lot of items from last week we have to take care of. That's totally fine. And also new items, totally fine. That's the whole purpose of these meetings anyway. So yeah, let's jump right in. The first item on the agenda is to discuss what's been brought up as called shared focus areas across the group on dependencies. So I will let Sean or Kevin talk about that if they would like, if they are here.
Sean's empty. No,
Yeah.
his desk is absent of a human at the moment.
So he probably doesn't want to talk about it. I can talk a little bit about it.
Hi.
Oh, Vinod's here. Okay.
I can chime in. Yeah. So in the evolution meeting group and in other meeting groups like with Asia Pacific, this dependency issue is being highlighted a lot in different meetings that people want to look at the dependencies, not only in terms of library dependency, in terms of people dependency, projects dependency. So dependencies can be looked in the different ways from the business perspective, from the value perspective. So from all these different dependencies, we observe that dependencies is highly important, and each working group is looking at it in a different angle from the dependency perspective. So the discussion was like, should we have a common area where all group members from the different group can come together, chime in, and discuss on the dependencies to grow it. Along with the dependencies, also some of the metrics arises where multiple groups are using it. So the theme was like we can have a shared focus area where people from the different working groups can come in and discuss, okay, these are the metrics which are used by the different groups so that we can jointly develop them and use them. So that's where this topic brought here in the common, that we need to have a shared focus group or focus area whereby members of each group can come and develop the metrics which are aligned with all the groups.
So we did talk a little bit about having a separate group to deal with this issue that is common to the working groups. But I think the key point here is actually the idea that a focus area can exist in multiple different working groups, and they can work on that focus area independently in whatever way that they would want. So the focus area could be, if it's dependencies, that focus area would exist within evolution, it could exist within common, and it could exist within risk. And those working groups could independently work on that focus area in the way that they see fit. So it's not necessarily coming together to collaborate on dependencies. It's the understanding that this focus area can exist in each of these working groups and kind of look at it a little bit differently.
I have a question. So what would and you may not have the answers, but what would the focus area be? And why would there why would there need to be one shared across working groups?
So theoretically, any of the focus areas could be shared across working groups.
Yeah.
So this would come up when there's a focus area that can be applied in a different way. So in the example of dependencies, evolution, common, and risk would all explore that dependencies focus area from a different perspective.
I see. So the focus area would be called dependencies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and just like now when we look at our focus areas, there are the subcategories. We still have those subcategories, but perhaps those subcategories are then split up among the working groups. Right, so within a focus area, one subcategory, evolution might be working on that from one perspective, risk might be working on a different kind of subcategory, or I suppose those are questions, right?
Yeah, I think they'd be questions. They're just rows in that table. So I also know Matt Broberg, I don't know if you saw it too, but Dwayne O'Brien had posted in the value working group a question about dependencies as well.
Indeed.
That's correct.
Oh, terrible fun. Yeah, these things happen. Yeah, so that's a really interesting point as well.
So I do think that the need for understanding dependencies is pretty high. We've been hearing this one for quite a while, and it's just something that we haven't taken on in the project, like head on. There was work that was being done. I don't know if you're all familiar with like libraries.io. I mean, there has been stuff that has been worked on in this area, but in the CHAOSS project, we haven't been very systematic about it.
We looked a lot into libraries.io at the very beginning, and it was useful, but then they closed off their open source part and made it less useful.
So is this, so I understand libraries.io provided the data set and tools to create a data set, but from a chaos and metrics perspective, I think we can maybe even start work on defining what we could be doing if we had the data, and to capture some of the work that we did in the early days with the libraries.io project. And then I don't know if anyone is working on new tooling, but that would then complete that circle at some point that we have for CHAOSS.
Yeah, I agree that it's like the imaginary data. Like, assuming we could get this data, what would be the things we would want to look at? I think that's what you're saying, Georg. Is that right?
Yes.
I totally agree.
I made a comment on an issue about the different kinds of data I've observed related to dependencies earlier this morning.
Yeah, that was on the value.
Issue, yeah, value working group issue 108.
I mean, would we ever have an interest in doing tooling around dependencies? I don't know, like from an Augur or Grimoire Lab perspective, if that's on the roadmap at all.
I mean, I've taken a hostile fork of libraries.io from 18 months ago. I think we got a lot designed right for getting package manager dependencies, but I think there are other kinds of dependencies that are not covered by libraries.io. Yeah, we have an interest, but not unlimited resources.
I was just going to say, so I think the core question that we were trying to answer today, correct me if I'm wrong, those who are involved, is whether or not this concept of a shared focus area is something that we want to try and see how that goes. I know Kevin had also brought up, when we get to the point where we're tagging different metrics and allowing people to sort on them in different ways as more of a matrix, not just like a linear thing, having that shared kind of focus area fits very nicely into that, and kind of setting up a framework for that to happen in other ways. So I think that that's really kind of why they wanted to bring it to the group, to see how everybody felt about that and if that was something that we want to pursue or start.
I'd say yeah. I mean, there's no harm in trying.
Yeah, so dependencies is the example of a shared focus area between the value and I'm sorry, I missed the okay.
Risk.
Okay, yeah, my dog is freaking out. Sorry, I missed something.
Yeah. So each of the working groups could kind of define their own set of questions that are relevant, like why are dependencies important for risk? And what are the questions that would be kind of risk associated questions? And then what are the dependencies that are from a value perspective? Or what does dependencies mean from a value perspective is how I should say that. And what are the questions that help reveal value around dependencies?
Right.
Could this sit in common? Where would this reside?
Well, I think the point is that it would continue to reside in each of the individual working groups.
Okay.
So
is the place where there would be sort of, I don't know, for lack of a better word, cross pollination, would that be in the spreadsheet that we keep?
probably.
So like each working group may maintain a list of the dependency-oriented metrics that are of interest to it, and where they aren't developing it, it would simply reference another working group's efforts in that metric.
Yeah, definitely, and which is kind of similar to that previous conversation we were having about referencing duplicate metrics in from other working groups in the spreadsheet.
So I just put a note in there. I say, yeah, if this moves the way that we think about dependencies forward, that's good. It's a good thing. And if structurally it just doesn't work, I don't think it's that big of a deal, because we can always just restructure things. But yeah. I'd love to see dependencies be part of the conversation in evolution, risk, value. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Decisions are being made left and right. I love it. Can we move on to the next one? Are we ready? Any other final comments about this? Nope. Okay. So the next point on the agenda says, perhaps there's a point of collaboration between CNCF and CHAOSS. Who wants to talk about that?
So we had talked about, remind me if I'm wrong, with DevStats, that they were taking a look at, so DevStats is the tooling that CNCF has put together to get health understanding of the CNCF related projects. And from what I had understood from prior conversations, let me just put a phone number in the chat. I'm tempted to call it. From what I understand in the prior conversation, DevStats was kind of reflecting on how they represent their own metrics, and that maybe a point of collaboration between what CHAOSS has done and what DevStats wants to do.
I think, I don't know if Sophia's on the call this week, but she had mentioned that she was going to reach out to the DevStats team because they are in the process of redoing their dashboard right now, and see if there's some, I don't know, synergy, is that the right word there?
So I think that's it, Elizabeth. I think it's just kind of still just kind of wait and see. And I think that's the potential point of connection with CNCF.
Okay, I'm very sorry for the dogs. They're saving us from the terrible Amazon driver. Or it might be a Chihuahua walking by. I'm really sorry. So let's move on to Zoom link update. Do we have an update?
I didn't catch the last part of your question. I'm just saying that so you have to unmute.
You can hear the cacophony of barks.
Not at the moment. So I think we're still kind of waiting. Maybe there's a tiny bit of an update. I'm not sure how much people know, but we're going to be moving over to the Linux Foundation Zoom just to get off UNO. And from a pay perspective, I think we've been trying to figure out how to pay out of Community Bridge. They're basically just, the charge is going to be to, we just have to pay for whatever it is, a site, a project, whatever, where we get some allocation of Zoom links.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we have to, I think it's like $30 a month that we're going to end up paying. And so we've just had to figure out a little bit of the logistics on how to get that money out of Community Bridge and back to the Linux Foundation. So that's it. It should come shortly. And then maybe we don't have to do all this admitting, like how we all have to admit everybody. And we can also, right now, UNO is a little problematic because it's university. And so you have to be affiliated with the university to actually kind of be on the account, which I think we need to not have that anymore.
Makes life a little harder for some reason.
Did we get chaos.zoom.us?
I don't know.
I mean, we can certainly ask for that, right?
I'll try.
I don't know. It's not important. Totally not important.
I'll try it.
Okay, thank you, Matt. We appreciate that. All right, so the next one on the agenda is the community reports.
So I just an update there. We're really getting close. I was going to show some of the reports too, but we're getting pretty close. We just had some final details to work out between us and again the Linux Foundation, because they're going to be responsible for the actual process by which a request is made. We have the workflow down for once a request is made, what's going to be submitted or what's going to be produced. I am co-host, so I'm going to share my screen for just a second. Hold on. For heaven's sake. So just so you all see, this is one of the versions of the community reports. So what we'll do when we collect the information is get a logo. So that would be the logo of the community up here. The reports are going to be 12 months prior. So they're going to be the 12 full months prior to the date of request. So right now it would stop at the end of August of this year. Right now the reports are only going to be for a single repository. So if a community is looking to gain some insight, it's just for one repository. You can see that the reports are generated by Augur, Cauldron, which is Grimoire Lab underneath, Augur again, and then Cauldron, with some links to the software as well as links to the metrics. And so the idea behind these community reports is to really just kind of get people into the space as to what metrics can show and how they can be meaningful for their community, even if it's just one repository or even if it's just 4 different kind of these composite metrics. And really to demonstrate the work that has happened in the CHAOSS project. So if a community wants to know more, that's great. We'd encourage them to participate in the respective working groups or in the community call or to reach out to us on the mail list, whatever. But this is meant to kind of show people the work that we're doing, provide insights for folks, and get them to want to ask an additional set of questions. Sean or Georg or Elizabeth or anybody you want to add or subtract from what I said?
I think the only thing that's outstanding right now is determining the order in which we show the visualizations, which we are piloting right now. But otherwise, yeah, I don't have anything to add.
Sean?
No, I think I'm keen to get some, we're going to try, we've asked Dawn to, I think she's going to help get us a little bit of feedback on a couple of different versions of the report, just as a very lightweight market research, but we're ready to start rolling as soon as the item is on the website.
And then I guess does anybody have questions or comments about what they're seeing in the report? Immediate, like, this is great reactions, or immediate, I don't know what I'm looking at reactions? Again, it's to get the CHAOSS work out in front of people.
It's awesome. Have you, has anyone that's requested something like this seen it?
We haven't opened up that. Yeah, there was a few details that we had to work out just with respect to the questions that needed to be asked from people who were requesting the report. You know, like, we were trying to reduce the amount of overhead it takes to request a report. So I think we finalized on that, and I'm guessing in the next week or two, we'll actually have this up on the web page, by which people can request reports.
Very cool.
Yeah, so just to clarify, it'll just be a form that they fill out, and then it gets sent to us by email, and then we'll take it from there, do the report, and then send it back to them by email. So.
One question I have, we have not decided, is there any TAT for that? Like, in how much duration these reports needs to be generated and provided back once the request is received?
15 minutes.
Yeah.
No, we haven't talked. I'm just kidding. We haven't talked about that. So
Cauldron generates reports fairly quickly, and since we're doing these really as a single repository request, it won't be a big deal for Augur to generate them quickly either.
a couple days, is that?
Yeah, I think that's entirely reasonable.
Georg, does that?
Yeah, if you send me a request today, you'll probably have the visualization from Cauldron tomorrow.
Okay.
If you send it on Thursday, it might be Monday if I decide not to work Friday.
Totally fair.
Days.
Totally agree.
I mean, maybe that's something we should put to, you know, how we have some on the web page, we have some room to say, you know, this is going to be 12 months. Maybe that's something that we could say, that our goal is to get these back to you within 3 to 5 days, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, just, you know, recognize we're an open source organization made up of volunteers, and we're all working as fast as we can.
If you want feedback on this document, could you share the PDF with us?
Yeah, you bet.
It might be cool to get it in a public place to do so as well. Maybe you can make a public link to the PDF and GitHub issue, and we can socialize it a little bit. Or one of the call to actions of people who are interested, like, hey, look at our draft of what that report's going to be and add your thoughts on it. Just trying to think of the feedback loops for people to weigh in beforehand. Yeah,
that's a good idea. I mean, we have a repository, and I can post. I have a couple different versions, and I can post them just and then just link an issue pointing to them, and if you have and then I can share that issue to the mail list, and if people want to chime in, no problem.
That'd be great. Yeah, I'm thinking, Dwayne popping up recently. I'm thinking about people in OSPOs who could add some fun flavor on this that are definitely on the mailing list.
Yeah, and it'd be nice to capture that, even if it's not part of the first release. This is going to be a highly dynamic thing anyway.
Absolutely.
Reports.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be normal for us to iterate. So, I guess if it isn't already in here, my one nit would be to add a version control tag at the bottom. Like this is Rev 0.1 of reports.
It's a good idea. Yeah.
Do we want to connect some of these metrics to the CHAOSS metric definitions?
So we had talked about, I don't know where we're at with this, adding a second page to this, which actually, so if you take a look at any of these, so for example, like if I just point to this first top auger one, this by itself is not a metric that we have defined in CHAOSS. This is a composite of many metrics that we have defined in CHAOSS, and same for issues open closed, same for contributors. And so we had talked about putting a glossary kind of on the second page that would say, in an effort to make this top visual, these are the atomic metrics that were used from CHAOSS. In an effort to make the second visual, these are the atomic metrics that were used to create this. Right. Do we still want to do that, Georg and Sean?
We can. I think we need to go back and add that to the report that we've drafted, obviously, because we did not do that in the original draft. But I think it's a good idea because it helps people map atomic metrics that we create and define to sort of the synthesis of those that I don't think atomic metrics are often as actionable as a combination of them.
My concern with doing that, I agree that mapping those would be helpful, just knowing we actually defined this and we're using the metrics that we are defined. My concern is with cluttering up the report and losing some of the, here's a neat, clean report, by adding too much information.
From looking at this, it's not clear to me what the definition of a contributor is, for example, things like that. So if we mapped it to the CHAOSS definition of what a contributor is, or metrics that would tell me what you're actually measuring, that might be helpful.
I'm with Kevin on this, that like connecting it back to what we do, and maybe that will take a couple iterations before we get there smoothly, of like knowing at what layer of expertise is this person. Like, do we need to define our terms really thoroughly, or can they be assumed and we know that they're contributors to CHAOSS and they just want to get us to make some pretty graphs? But yeah, connecting it all the way through to like making sure we're reinforcing what the terms mean in a clear way, even if there's like a summary FAQ after this if we need to. But yeah, there's definitely some context there.
Very cool. And that is what the atomic metrics do. They provide that definition. A lot of the work that we've done. Okay. Thanks.
Awesome. All right, Matt, I gave you an action item for that too, just FYI. So, and we called the repo health reports. So I guess we can probably change that if you want to, would rather have it say community reports or whatever you want.
Okay.
Okay, so the next thing on the list is the All Things Open booth. We're having a booth at All Things Open, which is a great conference. They're doing it all virtual, of course, this year. And it's October 19th and 20th. And because of the wonderful folks at Bitergia, they have offered, through their, I believe through their sponsorship, they would get a free kind of add-on booth. So they have donated that to CHAOSS. And Matt and Georg and myself will be staffing that booth virtually. I don't really know what that looks like yet because I've not done a virtual booth, but I'm excited to find out. I've done real life booths a lot, but not virtual. So that will be a learning experience for everyone. If anyone has questions on that, for sure, let me know. But like, I don't really have answers, but I can find out. I can find out. So yeah. Anything to add with that, Matt?
Exciting.
With physical booths in the past, we had sign-up sheets for when different community members wanted to be in the booth. Do we want to do something similar here so it's not all on the same people? Because I think it's for 2 days.
It's like a big commitment for 3 people for 2 days.
I was going to say, if anybody else wants to join, you are more than welcome to join.
What day is it?
October 19th and 20th. And I believe the hours, I'll have to look again, but I think they're 10 to 6 Eastern time.
I think so, yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I plan on being there quite a bit, but yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
I have some stuff going on those days, but would I be able to help in whatever capacity is available to me as well? So I'm glad to help. I just want to make sure it works around my classes and things like that.
You said October 19th and 20th.
Yeah, I'm not sure my other commitments, but I'm interested in being the third Matt there as well.
I'm happy to spend a share of time at the booth to make it more reasonable for everybody.
That sounds like Georg's idea of a spreadsheet where people can sign up would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I will put something together and I'll send it to, should I just send it to the regular CHAOSS mailing list or, yeah, okay, I will do that.
Do you know if they're using Hop-In again, like they have been for Open 101? Okay.
Not sure at all. We have very little details so far.
Sure.
So as soon as we know, we'll.
Cool. Yeah, it should be fun. It could even turn into an opportunity if it is the same software. There's basically a dedicated chat room per booth, and then a video, like optional video component where people can jump into a shared video channel, and you can even invite people that are in the channel chatting to have a conversation at the booth. So it turns into like your own sort of Twitch meets podcast meets something that could be pretty fun.
Cool. Sorry, my daughter's trying to get the massive dogs outside because UPS came. So who knows who's coming next? You'll all know when they come. Anyway, moving along. Software badging. Who put this on the list?
I did, but we can move this to next week in the interest of time.
Cool. Let's just put a note here that we're doing that. And then what about inner sourcing?
You put that there too. So I just wanted you to know, Daniel, are you on the call right now? The hope is that I do see him still on the list. Hello, are you still planning on coming to the Asia Pacific meeting next week to talk about inner sourcing? So Daniel's going to talk about inner sourcing at the Asia Pacific call next week. It'll be recorded. Inner sourcing is coming up quite a bit, at least I'm sure it's very high on the list for maybe folks at Bitergia, but I'm hearing about it a lot too, and requests for inner sourcing, and maybe something we want to put on the CHAOSS radar too. So I don't know, Daniel, if you have comments or thoughts, or tell us what you're going to talk about on Wednesday. Not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday.
Oh yeah. So it's on Wednesday. When was this? Look in the calendar.
September 9th.
Yeah, that one. Oh, I was looking for that. Yeah, I found this. Yeah, 3 p.m. here. So yeah. We were discussing about this beginning of August, maybe, or mid-August or so. What am I gonna discuss in this? I don't know. So this is mostly about your specific needs. So we kind of have standard topics or a bit of discussion about the inner source common. So but my idea was to, let's say, split the discussion into 3 main areas. So one of them is inner source as a concept. So what is inner source? The second one is inner source commons as the let's say as the community, and then the third topic would be inner source metrics. That perhaps is the most appealing topic for this community. And then we can have some open discussion. So I thought about having like either some open conversation with anyone joining and having questions, or have some kind of small presentation, short presentation, and then go to some open discussion at the end. So if you have any preference, probably today is a good day to know.
What you just said sounds awesome.
Yeah.
In terms of the 3 things to take a look at.
Mm-hmm. And then if you think it's useful, I can produce some slides, maybe, or maybe not.
Yeah, I think
go ahead.
The audience is very keen to understand how to measure inner source, and since Bitergia has done a decent amount of that, I think just the expertise that you bring to orient them to how do we do metrics in inner source. It seems to me they're in a very beginning place, and so getting them to understand key concepts, I think, will be very helpful.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
And I'll be honest, I'm at a beginning place too, and I would love to hear kind of that beginning place conversation, so that when I start hearing people asking about it, I have some orientation on how to talk about it. That'd be really helpful for me too.
Okay. So I'll do my best.
And thank you for coming to that meeting and doing that. It's awesome.
September 9th at 9 a.m. Central Time, if anyone wants to join and listen to Daniel and absorb his knowledge in your brains, I think you should all come.
Yeah, and I think listening to a good set of questions that people there will have for Daniel, I think it'll be a really good dialogue.
Okay, so moving along, we only have 6 minutes left, and we have some big topics on here. What do y'all want to do? Do you want to blow through them, or do you want to table some of the bigger conversations till next time, or what do y'all want to do? Cool. Okay. Don't everybody start at once. I'm looking for guidance. I don't know what the group wants. All right.
20
Otherwise, I'm
seconds,
just gonna
quick
decide.
updates from every working group.
Okay.
The
All right.
time
So we
is
got 5
on.
minutes.
Rapid fire.
We got like
Go.
1 minute. That's it. Who wants to do evolution? 1 minute. You go.
Evolution is focused on developing, basically deciding what metrics we're going to build out for the next set of releases. We have a few that didn't make it into this release that we're likely to introduce as interim releases. We do have a larger discussion. I don't know if it happened before I got here about the review versus pull request, merge request software change. that might be something that needs to, I don't know if, did we talk about that while I was taking care of my dog?
No.
Okay, so that's a big item and we don't have time for that. So we'll just we'll bring it up at the next meeting and go slow on making any changes.
Awesome, 1 minute, great.
We can bump that up to the top too next time,
Yeah.
so it doesn't get smushed at the bottom. Okay, Risk, go, 1 minute.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
Risk too. We're focused on tagging and understanding how, so for example, the Linux kernel report was just released showing how review tags are significantly more used now than they were early on in the kernel. And Kate Stewart and other people in the Risk group, including Sophia, are looking at what do these tags mean? What are the common tags that are used across repositories? And what are the tags that are synonyms for essentially the same thing across repositories? So we're trying to build a tag dictionary to guide us to understand project risk and also the kinds of work happening in different repositories.
Awesome.
Awesome, thanks, Sean.
Sure.
I love it. This might be a new feature that we do. 1 minute. Okay, D&I, badging. Matt Snell, 1 minute.
I'm here to talk about the release of the D&I badging project as a project that's public facing and people can apply to for events, both virtual and in person, on September 14th. If you want to be a reviewer for this project, it's not nearly as involved as it used to be, and it will be something that will help the community quite a bit in D&I. And if you want to be a reviewer or don't know if you're a reviewer or anything like that, then just feel free to email me. I've got my email there. We've got a new burnout metric that looks really interesting, and I'm really excited to see what comes out of that. And I am not so sure about the open demographics part of it.
We are discussing about how to work with the open demographics, and there will be a big update tomorrow.
Fantastic. Value, Matt B.
Yes, we're doing some fun stuff around social value, got to a more specific definition and are working with to get some metrics in there going forward. If that interests you, jump in. We've got some others in progress that we're working through, like project popularity has been floating around for a while and needs some specificity. And SCMS is evolving into a project similar to D&I badging and community reports. And then there's an outstanding request that just came in that I want to take the 30 seconds of this and ask about, which is like a public calendar link to when our meetings are. Do we have any sort of CHAOSS-wide calendar that's being managed that I've lost track of? I see a head nod, so I will.
It's under /participate. CHAOSS.
Oh, great.
Community/participate.
All right, I will link to that. Perfect. That's it for us.
Yeah, and if you copy it to your personal Google Calendar, then you'll never miss a CHAOSS meeting.
And as a note, if you need to add things to that calendar or edit existing things, you can post an issue on the website repo or reach out to myself.
Great. All right, thanks all. Perfect.
All right, we got 1 minute for comment and app ecosystem and Google Season of Docs. So, comment.
No update.
App ecosystem, we finished the goal question metric approach for the event activity organizer and started work on sharing that through blog posts and a white paper.
I was muted, sorry. 1 minute for Google Season of Docs. If there's a quick update, although you're pretty good about updating the mailing list too. Thank you for doing that.
Hi, so so I have an update on the Google Season of Docs. So I worked on the working group section for the community-wide handbook, which I put up the link within the meeting notes itself. I also created a repository for tracking up my progress. The link can be found in the same meeting notes. And currently I'm done with the part to leadership section 2 within the community handbook. I also shared this on the mailing list too, and feedbacks are appreciable on this. So I would be working on the terminology part for the coming days, which would describes the terms that are being used frequently within the CHAOSS community and how to use the terminology, like usage guidelines like capitalization, abbreviations, and the words to avoid with some reasons. So this is going to be my work for the coming days. So I have updated the with my, I have updated my progress on the mailing list with my blog post as well as the weekly report. Yeah, that's it.
I just want to say thank you very much for working in the open on the mailing list and making great progress.
Sure.
Agreed.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. It means a lot.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Thank you.
Sorry to rush everyone at the end. That sucks. I'm sorry. We'll try to be a little better
That was
next time.
exhilarating.
It was.
Oh,
That's
okay.
right.
All right. Then maybe we won't be better next time. Maybe we'll
Yeah.
just do that every time.
Yeah.
Speed
let's do
updates.
it. All right.
Everyone, have a great rest of your day, and we will see you all next week. Take care,
Yep.
everybody.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, gang.
Bye-bye.